Welcome to Stories with Brisco and Bradshaw. I would be Bradshaw. That would be your Chickasaw native and your Chickasaw Hall of Famer, Oklahoma's favorite son, Mr. Gerald Brisco. And we have got a true trailblazer pioneer today. So much of today's wrestling was because of this man, both in promo styles, in interview styles, but also in access, because he's the one that became the pioneer. He also was a Florida NWA heavyweight champion, winning that title from Bruiser Brody. Won tag team championships all over the world. Tommy Wildfire Rich, Tony Atlas as his partner, and a certain Mr. Gerald Brisco. He is the one and only. He is Mr. Thunderbolt Patterson. Thunderbolt, welcome to the show.
Heaven high, giving God all of the glory. All over the world, they are saying, meeting and greeting every day, saying, hell low. Now, all of y'all are a little bit more educated than I am, but my understanding is what you say and what you think comes to you. And you can see all of the messed up stuff in this world today. We need a little more love. Hey, talk to me now. What you want to talk about today?
Thunderbolt Patterson, my lifelong buddy, man. It's a pleasure to hook up with you. John and I just recently saw you up in Iowa at the George Tragus Lutheran Hall of Fame, which you're a proud member of. We're so proud to have you up there. Things have picked up several notches since you've been involved with us up there. We hope this continues to picking up here. But Bo, tell us a little bit about your background. Thunderbolt Patterson from Waterloo, Iowa, working at a John Deere factory there in a Quad City. I was going to say Tri-City, but there's four of them. That makes it Quad. See how smart I am, Layfield? I'm an Okie, so I'm smart. But anyway, Thunderbolt Patterson, working at a John Deere factory, saw that professional wrestling on TV and said, man, I want to do that. Tell us a little bit about that story there. How you were introduced to professional wrestling and what happened?
Well, Gus Karras and Bob Guy turned me on. And I used to watch it with my mother all the time. And as you say, I was working at John Deere's. And I took my bag into the Hippodrome every week and challenged everybody in there. And no one would speak to me or talk to me but Ray Gunkel. And that's when I come to work for Ann Gunkel after all of that. But before that, it's all in the book, Jerry. Now, I can't get too much of the book because
tell us about the book so we can plug the book on this show, Bo.
Say that again?
Tell us about the book. What is the book called so we can plug it on this show?
Look. The book now, I done the film before the book. I sent it to Hollywood. Hollywood kept it for 4 years and sent it back to me. And you told me, say, do whatever Chad asked you to do. I come to Waterloo. If it wasn't for you, I never would have been in Waterloo, in my hometown, in the Hall of Fame. And Chad told me, said, I want to get your book and finish it. And I told him, I'm finna start running wrestling, and my book come out, and I want to put money back into the museum where all that money is going in places where individuals has tore and broke wrestling down. That's where my book is, in Waterloo, Iowa. Being together, we have to get with Chad on that. But okay. I went to. Go ahead.
No, I'm waiting on you. You went
to Kansas City.
Okay.
And that's where Pat O'Connor, I had my first encounter with Pat O'Connor. And I couldn't get out from under him, Jerry, but he couldn't.
Hey,
nothing with-
Thunderbolt, don't feel bad about not being able to get out from under Pat O'Connor, because he was a legit son of a gun, man. What a nice guy, but what a talented guy.
Oh, man.
His work was like magic, wasn't it, man? You didn't even know he was there, but yet you knew where he was at all times.
Yes, sir, he rolled me like a wet old bad suit. I couldn't get out from under, but he couldn't do nothing with me. You understand what I'm saying?
I understand.
That was the start of it right there, and then I moved started.
So Patrick, the one that broke you into the business, he taught you the ins and outs. How did they smart you up?
Pat didn't teach me anything.
No, who was that? Gus, or who was that?
No, well, Bob Geigel and Gus was the one. Didn't know Jack Crawford. Jack Crawford.
You know Jack Crawford.
Yeah, he was the referee, and my brother worked at Ralph Packing Company, and I used to have a little experience going in there, doing a little bit of fighting in there. But we started training Ox Baker and I in Waterloo, Iowa at Ralph Packing Company, and because Ox was working at Ralph, and that's where I started. And I got hit.
Both you and Ox Baker are both Waterloo boys there. So you started at the same time?
Waterloo, Ox was from Evansdale, 12 miles down the road. And we started pretty well at the same time. I got hit at a John Deere, a hoist come loose. I lost my equilibrium and I was off from work for a while. And when I came back to work, I went to the doctor every day. When I came back to work, my foreman told me, said, well, you've been off chasing that wrestling. I said, well, I'm going to be just as good as you is to me. I'm going to give you this job. I packed up my family and I moved to Kansas City. And I told her, here I am, just like that. And that same weekend, I was booked back up on the other side of Waterloo for a job. Then the next thing was, went to Camp Lejeune, I think it was. Gene and Ole. Ole was in the Army at that time. This was 1965.
Wow.
Worked with Gene and Ole. Gene broke the colonel's wife's shoe, and she stopped the matches.
No.
She put everybody out. It was on base. So I got started in Kansas City. That's
you mentioned Gunkel there, Ray Gunkel. Was he a part of that organization?
That comes on back up there. That's after you and I.
I know that's when you got over there on the other side there for a short period of time. So tell us your first match. You said you went back to the hometown. You had your first match that quick?
Well, I went back. What, Jay, would you believe they beat me on Channel 7? My first match with Bob Brown. Bob Brown was a job guy. And then Bob's dad died. He went to Canada. And when he came back, he put him and Bob Geigel got together, and they were hot as a firecracker.
That they were.
That's how that went.
Yeah.
But then I went back and I wrestled bunt somebody.
Sweetan, Bob Sweetan?
Huh?
Bob Sweetan?
No. It was a German guy, somebody. And
Bob Hitler.
I've only went there one time and back to Des Moines one time. Never been to St. Louis.
No, you never worked St. Louis for those guys?
Never.
Wow.
I was going up into Minnesota, doing jobs for Harley and all of everybody up there.
What was you Claude Patterson then, or was you Thunderbolt yet?
I was close.
You're Claude. Okay.
I wasn't. I didn't. When I got back to, let me see. Let me tell you. I went to Bob before Morris Siegel died. The office was in Houston, Texas,
right,
before Fritz took over. I went to Houston, Texas, getting ready to come home for Christmas. I went in the office and I said, Bob, Paul, when do I need to come back? He looked up at me and said, you don't have to come back. I had no Christmas time,
wow,
nowhere to go. Dick Byers, the destroyer, got me booked in LA. And that's when I set it on fire. I went with Ernie. Now this was in
early, you and Ernie Ladd.
Yeah, Ernie Ladd was in Houston because he was playing for San Diego at that time, and I caught a ride with him.
How did you hook up with Ernie? What was that connection? Where was that connection? In Houston?
In Houston, Texas, when Paul told me I didn't need to come back.
They used you up to Christmas, and then Christmas break, they just told you, Merry Christmas. Both, by the way, you have no more bookings, right?
No, I said, when can I come back? He said, you don't have to come back. Dick Byers got me booked. I had nowhere to go. Dick Byers got me booked in LA, and Ernie Ladd was on his way back to camp, football camp for the San Diego. And I caught a ride with him. That's how that happened.
Wow.
And that was on fire, caught on fire.
And who were you working for in LA at the time?
Jules Strongbow. Jules Strongbow and Mr. Moto.
And was that in the old LA Coliseum?
Yes, sir. Olympic Auditorium. We set it on fire. Buddy Austin.
Buddy Austin, Budrow.
That's when I start understanding. When I left John Deere's, Gerald, I had that lost my equilibrium from a horse coming loose, and I worked with the greatest starting from the get-go. And there in LA, Buddy Austin ran my head into the turnbuckle. I gave him myself. And that's when I got the understanding of to take care of my own business. You understand what I'm saying?
I understand it.
Yes, sir. And from that time on, I went on up to San Francisco.
Who was Buddy Austin? You and Ernie were working to get Buddy Austin. Who was Buddy?
No. There was a single match.
A single match, okay.
Ernie went on to the
Ernie was at camp.
Alberto Torres and I.
Alberto Torres, the Torres brothers, yeah.
Yes, we were the West Coast champions. We set it on fire. And I wanted to grow. So I went on up to San Francisco. And then I stayed there. And when I got ready to leave there, well,
now tell us a bit about San Francisco. Who were some of the talent there, and is that where did you become Thunderbolt? What I'm trying to get at.
Well, Jules Strongbow. When I got into LA, I picked up the paper and my name wasn't in there. Thunderbolt was in there, but my name wasn't in there.
There wasn't no Claude on there.
No, it wasn't no Claude Patterson. So I ran. I got there to LA and I ran up in that office. I said, "Man, I done come all the way out here, and I'm not even on the card." And Jules Strumbo asked me to say, "What does Claude Patterson sound like?" And I said, "That's my name." And he said, "Well, I've been hearing things about you. And from now on, your name will be Thunderbolt." And that's how I got the name, Jules Strongbow.
Was you happy about that boat, or what was your reaction? You know, I don't want to be Claude or what?
Well, I mean, it caught a fire.
Yeah, I did. I'll say.
I mean,
I'd say it was the right move.
that was the right move. Yeah, that's where I started understanding. It was only 2 years in the business now. A little old boy from Waterloo that didn't, I just come from the streets in Waterloo, and so I wanted to grow. I went to San Francisco. I worked with Watts. I worked with Von Erich. I worked with the best.
Well, that list of talent there. Bill Watts he was hot out there. All those guys that you just named.
Pat Patterson,
Pat Patterson, Ray Stevens. You were thrown in with the top guys right away. Huh?
Tanaka. I mean, it was just unreal. Gorilla Monsoon. All of them was there. So I went into the office, and I told Roy Shire, I got to leave. He said, "Why? Why? If you ain't making enough money, you should have told me." He's the only one that had told me that. Now he's the only one. So I went on up to Vancouver. Sonny Myers was supposed to book me in Japan. Well, I stayed. That's where I met Rocky Johnson, Rock's daddy.
Was Rocky just starting to work at that time?
Pardon? I didn't hear you.
Was Rocky just getting into business at that time?
Rocky Johnson. He was young. Yeah, he was working in Vancouver. He's from Nova Scotia.
Right.
So when I didn't get too long with Rod Fenton too well. So I come back to Kansas City to go to Japan, and it was canceled. Wow. It was canceled. Why? That's a good question. But I found out later on, all other things, because Kansas City was where Harley, Jody Hamilton, and the individuals that I wouldn't let them do what they want to do with me. You understand what I'm saying?
Wouldn't let you take liberties with them, huh?
Well, I mean, hey, they both be bad boys, but they wasn't too bad.
So who did you smarten yourself up to that boat, or did somebody say, "Hey, both these guys are taking advantage of you"?
Well,
that's what you did with me. That's the reason I'm trying to ask you that.
Well, see, I understood what it takes to draw money, and that's people don't want no loser.
No. Hey, John, I tell everybody, Sandy Scott was my first tag team partner, my legit first tag team partner in the Carolinas when I met Thunderbolt. Thunderbolt was just coming in, but Sandy taught me how to work tag team. Then I worked tag team, and I must have learned, because then they teamed me up with Thunderbolt Patterson. I tell everybody, Sandy Scott taught me how to work a tag team. Thunderbolt Patterson taught me how to draw money with a tag team. And for that, I'm eternally grateful.
That's the name of the game.
Exactly.
The name of the game is, it's all about, as Ole say, putting asses in seats, and Gerald and I had the chemistry that we were, I would say, rank generals. We know what to do. We know how to take care of ourselves, and we didn't mind what nobody thought about it. We done what we had to do, and we got over. Is that right, Gerald?
That's right, but it took me a while to learn. It took me a lot of years too. It took me some of those 300-mile trips up and back from Virginia to North Carolina a few times when you in my ear saying, "Kid, they're taking advantage of you. Don't let them do that to me. You know how to work. You know how to wrestle. Use it."
Come on, Doc. Go ahead. That's 300 miles. You remember the night that they took us to jail?
Well, I was going to bring that story up, John. I've told you this story millions of times, right? Where the Thunderbolt, I just bought this brand new black on black Eldorado Cadillac, brother. And of course, we're running late to Richmond. And of course, as the story goes, always in wrestling, it was a sold out house for the belts. We got stopped somewhere around, where was it? Winston-Salem or Greensboro, somewhere in that area. Raleigh. We got pulled over there. They asked Thunderbolt for his registration. Of course, we had no registration. We just left the dealership. And so all we had was a paper tag on there. They called they didn't know what to do. So they took the car, told Thunderbolt, "Now, well, you're going to jail. You guys, well, you know, black man and Andy guy in there together." We stole that car, of course. So they took us to jail. Finally, we called, who was it? Joe Murdoch, right? Up in Virginia.
Yeah.
Yeah. Joe talked to the police, and so the police gave us a ride out to the airport. Joe was going to get us a plane.
Jerry. John Ringley come got us.
Oh, John Ringley. I thought John Ringley took us out there. We were going to fly. That's when James Brown come flying in, right?
Yeah.
Wait a minute. You're going to James. That's not just a throwaway thing. James Brown was in this story.
Yeah, James Brown. He landed that white Learjet. Remember, both we watched that white Learjet. Well, who the hell do you say? There's only one person I know in the world got a white Learjet. James Brown.
We were sitting in the airport when he come in. Yeah,
and he saw Thunderbolt sitting over there, and the guy went into a truck to come over to meet our Thunderbolt.
Well, see that's just
and offered to fly us on his plane up to Virginia, but John Ringley was there. They had a plane coming, so we turned him down, and the biggest mistake we ever made.
So wait a minute. So James Brown was such a big fan of Thunderbolt Patterson that he would have flown you out of his way up to the wrestling show.
Yeah, he was doing a gig in Raleigh, and he was going to do his gig and have the pilot fly us up to Raleigh or to Richmond and come back and pick him up and go to his next gig, right, Bo?
Well, see, what wrestling did is what Gerald and I done. We tried our best to bring people together, people of understanding. There wasn't two individuals that got in the ring that could do what they couldn't do what they wanted to do. So we were generals of the ring. And the people explode everything we done, it sold out all over, everywhere we went. And and after that, it's when Ann Gunkel, when Ray died, and they took over, and Gerald and I lived. Gerald lived, upstairs, and I lived downstairs. That's when I met his wife. Then my godchildren that he had. Tell them about it, Jed. You know.
Well, yeah, my wife, Barbara, I hadn't met my wife yet. She lived across the street from us, and she was teaching school there, and she would see me and Bolt all the time. She thought, well, that's kind of unique, you know. An African-American guy and this other guy, you know, they're good friends in North Carolina. And God bless Mr. Crockett Sr. He saw the potential in us. He put up billboards all over Charlotte, North Carolina with Bolt and I's picture. Barbara had just started teaching school, and right across the street from her school was that billboard with Bolt and I's picture on it. So she'd tell her kids, "Hey, you guys behave, and I'll have those guys coming in." You don't know those guys. How do you know? But Bolt met Barbara before I did and said, "You got to meet my partner." And so he introduced me to Barbara, my wife, my future wife, so off of that. But then Bolt and I went to Barbara's school one time, and the principal had to shut us down because we were causing a riot because the kids were so out of control. Remember that, boat?
Well, it's just something that, and see, Jared, this is the whole thing. It's a purpose. This is a purpose. This is my purpose. This is God chose me for this here. This wrestling business has just went to, you know, and it's just a whole new day, and it's something that I loved all of my life, and we just want to help people, and we want to bring the old school back. And we want to show people that all of the vulgar, it don't take that. It takes a little wrestling and individuals that know what they're doing.
John, at this time, North Carolina was just becoming integrated, and all the schools.
Yeah.
Barbara taught at the first integrated school in Charlotte, and so Jim Crockett Sr. he picked up on all that, and Boat and I were the first really push tag team that had that mixed tag team. So we're getting publicity, you know, from TV stations, radio stations, newspapers, and all that stuff. And Jim Crockett Sr. is the one that kind of instigated that and kind of puts us out there. So when my wife offered for us to come into the school, that was unheard of. A black man and a white man going into school together talking about race relations and stuff like that. So Boat was a true pioneer in all that stuff, man. We set the place on fire.
And was that you guys were one of the very first, right? I mean, there was that because at that time it just everybody kind of, you know, you put cowboys together, natives together, Europeans together, Americans together, blacks together, whites together, Mexicans together. So that you guys were the first to really be the integrated tag team. Was there any pushback from it?
But we were the first that was real. Now you understand me now. Most everything that goes on and has been going on for quite some time, the promoters had a motive. Are you with me?
Yes.
You understand me? But
Yes.
Gerald and I, we took it all to another level. We dealt with all of the people. All of the people. We didn't play that race card at all. At all.
Boat and I were equals in that ring. I mean, he would give me hot tags at certain nights. I give him hot tags other nights. Most of the time, I gave him a hot tag because there wasn't a comeback in the world at that time like a Thunderbolt Patterson comeback, brother. The place would be rip roaring. And it was funny as heck. You can see all those old Carolina and Virginia rednecks. You know, all of a sudden, I'm tagging this black man in, and he's getting a hot tag, and he's out there. He's making a fiery comeback, and you would have thought their cousin was in the ring the way they were cheering, man. There was no racism going on when we were in the ring together. And when we didn't push back, we might have got it from some of the fans, but it was everything was positive because everything that Boat was spinning at that time was on a positive level, or on a positive feedback to the people out there. So it was nothing but fun. And then of course we got separated a couple of years. Crockett wanted to go individual singles with both of us and push us as single wrestlers, and that's the only reason we broke up. We didn't break up because there's a conflict between the two of us, or there was trouble. We just broke up because the promoter asked us to. Man,
they couldn't follow us. They had other motives. When Mr. Crockett died, the boys had a different version on wrestling business. That's from that Kansas. You know, can you remember when Ernie called me from down in Atlanta when Ray died?
Yeah, I think I remember that. That was
when Ray died.
Yeah, Ray Gunkel. Ray being Ray Gunkel.
Yeah. And see, Ray was the only one when I went into Waterloo, the Hippodrome, and challenged everybody in there. Ray was the only one that told me where I could get some boots at. So this has been what they call a setup. God, real. You understand what I'm saying? This is real. This is real. And this is a wrestling business and a lot of things that went on. We're not bitter about anything, love, but we didn't like the stinking thinking and we just took care of ourselves.
And what years was that, Jerry, in the Carolinas that you guys were together?
That was the early 70s, 71, 72, 73, right in that area. I think even into 74. And I think that's when we kind of split up and went different directions.
Yeah.
And then after that, Thunderbolt, that's when you went down to Florida?
No, I went for Ann Gunkel. Ray Gunkel had died, and I went to work for Ann.
Back in Kansas City.
Right, Kansas City.
No, this is Atlanta.
Yeah, Atlanta, Georgia.
Ray died in Atlanta. What happened, John, is Ray died, and Ann felt like she was getting the short end of the promotion and was sick there. So she had Tom Ernesto, the assassin, and a couple other people talk her into running her own territory, opposed to the NWA. Well, and now I know the story. I didn't know the story before the tightness and the relationship that you had with Ray, where Ray was the one that got you, help you find where to get your gear and all that stuff. I understand that relationship now. But Bolt went to work for Ray Gunkel, who was the opposition to the NWA.
That's when the war. That's when the war. That's
when the actually the first territorial war started during that time.
So describe for people that don't know the territory war. What was the territories war that were going on? So you go into work for a group that is opposed to the NWA, right?
In Atlanta, Georgia, there were the regular Paul Jones and that Paul Jones and Ray Gunkel. Ray had 51% of Georgia. When Ray died, they took that away from Ann and started her own business at Channel 17, which
same channel.
Say that again?
Was it the same channel, right?
Yeah. We started in the one Ray, the regular NWA was in there, and then Ann Gunkel, we came in there. Ann Gunkel was running on a Tuesday night. They ran on a Friday night. We sold out every Tuesday night. We got just as big as they were. That's when it came to that point where that's where I felt like I went into one Friday night show, Jim Wilson and I took a chair and set it in the middle of the ring. And I challenged everybody in there. And that's when Harley Race wrote in his book that he spit in my face. I was going to do something. And that was a lie. And then after that, when Ann booked Harley in some kind of way, come in there, I never would do a job with Harley. I had to put him over. Harley wasn't as bad as they say he was. He knows who to mess with. So, it's just the wrestling business.
And so, Jerry, the war that was going on, you guys were on the same TV station?
And there was another
same TV station. I just ran in the same town, recorded at the same building, and then we ran Tuesday and Friday nights. Yeah, it was weird.
And there was, but there was one more. Eddie Ironhorn started the IWA. Yeah. And it was
where did Eddie start that out of? Chicago?
Yeah, well, Pedro Martinez.
Martinez, right.
All of the guys, Bulldog Brower, Ernie Ladd, all of those different guys worked for Pedro, worked for that organization, IWL, and then Tom Ernesto sold Ann out.
Tom was Ann's booker, correct?
That was the booker. Yeah, Tom Ernesto Soul Ann.
So how did he do that? He was booking talent out from underneath Ann to Einhorn.
Well, well, you know how Watts talks about Ann and all the stuff and things. Watts another one that ain't right. You understand? Man, it's just unreal, man. And Ray Gunkel was Tom Ernesto was Ann Booker, and he just sold it. I mean, sold it out to him, and it just went down the drain. And that's when I got blackballed. I ran against the whole deal. I had $35,000 in the Omni, and they closed the doors at 8:30. I would have been a total promoter that night. And I had Louis Gillette, I had all the Samoans, Jim Wilson and we ran shows in Samoa. And we ran 2 shows in the American side. And when we got ready to go over to the West side, they stopped it. That's where his granddaddy was from. His wife's father was from. And Jim Wilson and all the other guys, they kept them over there. They took all the money. I smelled the rat, Jared. I called the player and got out of there.
Good for you.
And but I haven't had no work, no bookings, just Ole got me in one up there for what I call the fat guy, what his name? I'm trying to be as positive as I possibly can because I love them all. Everything that they done for harm, Lord turned it into being good because God been good to me. He's kept me through it all. And if it had not been for you, Gerald, and for Blair, I never would have been recognized at all in the rest.
Well, John, what happened is the guys that went over to work for Ann, they were considered outlaws, because Ann was considered an outlaw promotion against the NWA. And then when Ann folded, the payback was the brutal part. Payback to bitch, as they say. Guys like Boat, who was over like $1 million, and a couple other guys that was working, the Gladiator, Rick Hunter, and a couple of those guys that could draw money. They were like Boat said, blackballed from the NWA. No promoters. If a promoter wanted to book them, it had to go through a committee, and the committee said, no, you can't book those guys. They tried to put the NWA out of business in Georgia. So for a period of 4 or 5 years, Boat was an outcast of a business as over, and that's kind of when Dusty kind of started stepping in because there was no Thunderbolt Patterson to be compared with, So that's when Dream started his gig and kind of ripping off the Thunderbolt character. Correct, Boat?
That's it. That's it. I'm still standing. I'm still here.
Yeah, and Ole, out of all the people, Ole gets criticized for a lot of things, but Ole was a sharp business guy, yes. And Ole saw that talent in Thunderbolt and said, "Boat, I'm gonna get you back in, but you got to work with me. You got to behave because Boat, you were.
I've done the best I could.
Well, at that time, you were a wild hair, man. You were hard to control.
It's a piece of work. Ole never did fire me. He always gave me a job.
Ole's the one that kind of got Boat back on the good graces of the NWA and got him back
a little bit.
And the rest of it was you, but and Eddie Graham had a lot to do with that too, because Eddie brought you down to Florida and treated you real good down here, right?
Oh man, well, I said Florida fly too, and Eddie was a real good mind, man. But I went to Florida because Fritz von Erich asked me to go. I was in Texas. After Marsigo died, Fritz took over, and I lived. I had a little farm there outside in Fort Worth, right down from Fritz. and Fritz asked me to go to Florida. That was in '70. I think it was in '70, like that, something like that. And because I never did go to Florida or for the Gulas, or I never would work for Bill Watts until then. And I went down in Florida and we set that afire. Me and Jack and everybody that we set it afire. Yes.
And that's where you ended up winning the Florida championship, NWA Florida championship from Bruiser Brody. Isn't that right, Thunderbolt?
Bruiser, Dusty, that was the hardest thing for him to do. When Dusty had to do his little bit, you know what I mean? But yeah, it was real good, real good, you know. And most of the guys that was about anything, they came through Georgia and Florida. Those were the spots, man.
So Thunderbolt, what do you think about, imitation is the sincerest form of flattery? So many people have imitated you. So many people have copied you. Does that not make you feel good that you're this pioneer that was so worthy that everybody wanted to be like Thunderbolt?
Well, and people do what they want, but understand one thing, man. Nowhere I ever been went down. And I never know. They asked me one time, I think one of the Oates brothers asked me, what was the best territory you been? Everywhere I went was full. I never tore down anything I went. I mean, I always wanted to be a booker. I wanted to be I know the wrestling business. I know what it takes, and I mean, it often imitated, but never duplicated. I never did run nothing down, but I didn't make no money. That didn't do me no good. And I was bitter at one time, but I see that it's all about love. And hey, I'm still standing. I'm still here. It ain't over till God says it's over.
But let's go way back. When you first met me, I was a college kid coming down to Amarillo, Texas. You were a big star in Amarillo. Tell us how you got hooked up with Dory Funk Sr. But I was coming down. I was coming down to do a job on their TV down there, of course. And that's when I first ran across you. And I had a broken nose. I got hit by a softball the night before playing in a college softball game. And I went to TV the next day. My eyes were swollen up. My nose was broke. Hey, kid, what happened to you? Well, I
Did you not have a glove?
I took a bounce, John. You played baseball. That ball took a weird bounce, man. It popped right up. I wasn't coordinated in softball.
Hey, we know that time somebody do it because, hey, he didn't play games. He didn't play no games with nobody. He wasn't.
I was hurt. And those guys tried to get a little stiff with me. I said, "Screw up, man. I'm hurt. What are they going to do? Beat me here in Amarillo? I ain't coming back, And sure enough, they beat me. But they didn't beat me easy, did they, both?
No. And then I didn't see you no more until.
No, they didn't bring me back down there.
No, but I had Dory Funk Sr. I mean, he was unreal, man. At one time, Dick's the lawman out of
Don Slatton
out of Abilene. The sheriff killed his wife. Man, they draw the picture that looked just like me. I was healed. Down there for a while or whatever. And Slatton, lawman, he called and told Dory, say, don't send him down here this week because they got a warrant out for his arrest. And Dory said, for what? And he told him for murder. The Dory Senior said, no, I'm not going to send him. I'm going to bring him down. We come to that El Dorado, and we went on down, but they caught him. The guy had killed his wife, and tied himself up, and he drew a picture. It looked exactly like me.
Wow.
I mean, it was unreal, man. That whole Amarillo, Lubbock, El Paso, oh man, unreal.
Who were some of the guys you were working with down there, Bo?
I never went back to Amarillo. Never ever went back. Got a chance to work back. Now most other places. One time in Albuquerque, I don't know if Terry and them ever told you about this. I was with Dory Jr. whatever. They had a ride, and I had a little Derringer pistol in my. And when them people, I fired it off. Them people scattered, man. Just like it was unreal, but they got us out of there. Yeah.
So, where did you have the pistol, Bolt?
In my boot.
You had a pistol in your boot while you're wrestling?
Yes,
He had a pistol there then and his payoff money too, all stuff.
Look out! Had the whole load. Yes, sir.
So you got paid off and you stuck the money in your boot with the pistol?
Yes, sir.
Because I used to do that in Mexico, and I get paid off before the last match. I'd stick the money in my boot,
Well,
but I didn't have a gun.
You was a smart man. You know you had to do what you had to do, man.
Now, wait. So the riot, Bolt, the riot happens out in the ring, and you pull the pistol out in the ring?
I would get out the ring. Was out in, and the people was closing in. Was closing in, but when I scattered them, bam, bam.
I guess.
I guess so.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think they expect a guy with trunks and a boot on to have a gun.
No, they didn't.
Did you carry that pistol with you everywhere?
Oh no. It just so happened I had it that night. I didn't. No, that was the only night that I've had it. But
John, one night we're somewhere in Virginia, man. We're in one of those old redneck buildings, man. We're rocking and rolling, man. We're selling. So Bolt is out there selling, man. He's selling his keister off, man. He's selling. All of a sudden, I think it gets Ole and Gene. All of a sudden, Ole starts opening up on Thunderbolt. Thunderbolt give him that sell, give him that shake it. So all of a sudden, somebody throws a half-drinking whiskey bottle into the ring. Lands right by Thunderbolt. Bolt's down selling. Ole got a hold on it. Thunderbolt, I'm watching this thing. What's Bolt going to do now? I see Bolt reach over, get that whiskey bottle. Uncorks that damn whiskey bottle. Takes a swig of it. And starts the damnest comeback you ever seen in
like
your life.
pie and spinach.
Yeah, and like pie and spinach, exactly. And people are going absolutely friggin' nuts. And I said, man, that's it, man. That's how you draw money here.
That's great.
You entertain the folks, man.
That is great. I love that.
We done it all, man.
How did you like Dory Funk Sr.? I saw online that he was really good to you. Did you like Dory Funk Sr.?
Very good, real good. I went home one time with a 3-seater suitcase full of money. My wife fainted. Dory was one of the better territories that I've ever promoter I've ever worked for. Dory and Mr. Crockett. Mr. Crockett, the old man. He was great. Yes, senior.
Who were some of the talents you were working with down in Amarillo, Bo? Because you guys were loaded with talent. That territory is always loaded with great heels and babyface.
Oh man, it was who? Valentine.
Was Killer Carl Cox there?
Valentine, Killer Carl Cox, man, and
Dick Murdoch.
Dick Murdoch.
Yeah,
man.
Tell us that you had a long, successful career with Killer Carl Cox in Amarillo, Dallas, Mid-Atlantic, Georgia, everywhere you guys matched up, Kansas City. you guys packed the house and ever. What was that chemistry with you and Cox? Was he just one of those redneck guys that you just blended with, or what?
Great worker, great worker. I had the opportunity to work with some of the greatest workers in the business. And I done everything they asked me to do. But then when individuals, this is what I told you, when individuals try to show out or be smart or what, I mean, I put them in their place, and they didn't like that. And that's how you take care of yourself. But I had an opportunity to work with the greatest workers. Me and Jack sold out every place we ever stepped into, man. I mean, oh, come on, man. Do you understand
how do you find working with Jack? Because he was one of those technical guys that just flowed, man.
Hey, well, isn't that what it's all about? Yeah. Wrestling, and it's a work. Wrestling and a worker. That's what it's all about. Most of them individuals out there that want to be bad, they're not bad. You understand me?
Yes, sir.
There's some great guys out there. There's some great individuals. But everybody out there is not, you know what I mean? They're not the barbarian or the hooku. I mean, them the bad fellas. You understand what I'm saying? But we hung with the rest of them, didn't we, Gerald?
Yeah, we hung with them.
You know, all them individuals talking that, every one of them out there that's talking that bad, they wasn't much of nothing. Just that simple.
Hey, Bolt, how was it with you had another great baby face out in Atlanta that was your tag team partner, you were tag team champions with, and that was Tommy Wildfire Rich.
Hey, Tommy was Tommy. Tommy was the girl's man, young man that got over. He just got over, and that's what wrestling is about. It's about drawing money. Tommy Rich Wildfire got over, and he was a wildfire.
The guy could sell John and come back like nobody.
There it is. That's it.
The two key ingredients of babyface: selling and coming back.
That's it. And
if you sell, Bo taught me in the beginning, if you sell, that comeback comes natural then.
Yes. It was this was my greatest student right there. Right there. I mean, and he could wrestle, man. I didn't learn him nothing other than take care of himself. He had it all in him. Yes, sir.
And then you got a chance later in your career to be a manager for Ice Train. Did you enjoy being a manager as much as being a wrestler, or what'd you think about it?
No, wait a minute. I had the intention, suppose they put me with the Steiner brothers. If they had left me with the Steiner brothers, it would have been awesome. They put me with the Ice Train. Ice Train went into, I hate to call this man's name, but I got to do it, Bradshaw. Without me, and got his little piece of money. Do you know what Bradshaw asked me? What could I do for the business? And I had to cuss him out and leave. Ice Train was just a muscle guy that, that wasn't, that wasn't my choice.
And did you not want to stay a manager? Did you not want to stay in the business? What happened at that time?
No. I wanted to be a manager with some substance. You understand? I wanted to be a manager with some individual that could work, not using me to get them. You understand what I'm saying?
That's the reason. That's the reason. That's the reason you were so fond of being the manager of the Steiner brothers, correct?
Yes, 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 yes. It could have been if I mean, man, myself and the Steiner brothers at that time. I mean, if they want, if they wanted that, we could have. Hey, we could have done whatever needed to be done. You understand?
Bolt, I know you were good friends with a very good friend of mine that we traveled the road with a lot. Playboy Gary Hart. Tell us a little bit about your friendship with Playboy.
One of the best. One of the best. One of the best managers that I've ever met. One of the best guys that in the wrestling business. That
man of his word.
Down to earth, real, and that's what we need more of the wrestling business is real individuals and with real talent.
Yeah, but what type of friendship did you have with Jim Barnett?
Man, I went to Australia twice, and my biggest dream was everybody wanted Barnett to get a territory in the States. And he always paid me a little bit more, but he called me in one day and he told me, saying, my boy, Dusty want to come home. And that was my replacement. Jim, Jim was a great promoter, but one of them persons that, I don't know. I can't say much. I can't say nothing bad about it.
Good. You're good. He was a hell of a man. He went with the money. He went what he perceived was the money at that time.
Yes.
What do you think about, without getting in real heavy? And I know your aspiration was always to be a booker, be a matchmaker. You never really got that opportunity in a major territory. Where guys like Ernie and some of these other guys were getting those opportunities. Well, you never got that position.
No. See, that's one of the things. All those individuals, they used them. I mean, Ernie probably would be living today if he hadn't done all the stupid things he done and things, the bumps and all them different things. But I told Ole one time, I said, I'd love to be working with you. I'm a doper upper. I wanted to be in the business. And, but nobody would never let me do that. They would look at all of the places that they've had panels, every individual been a booker, and look how the territories in the country has went up and down and out of existence. And then one was able to take over everything. And look at it today. I mean, individuals that just didn't know nothing about wrestling.
And Bolt, what are you doing now? You had your preacher over helping, your minister over helping you hook up the Zoom call today, which is very appreciative to William. Thank you very much. But what are you doing now? What occupies your time? What do you enjoy doing?
I enjoy Jesus, because Jesus has kept me. Nobody. I don't get to go to none of the fan fests, none of the things around the country where I have drawn money, no involvement at all. The only two places, if it hadn't been for Gerald and Brian Blair, out in Cauliflower Club. Those are only two places. I mean, God taking care of me. I'm just drawing my pennies and just lifting up the name of Jesus.
But a lot of people don't know how to get in touch with you. Are you open to doing these autograph shows, these card shows around the country? And if so, how can they get in touch with you?
Well, it's 404, my number. You got my phone number, 404-973-8729.
Let's book on Bo. Let's get booked on some of these card shows out there. Both he's never done them, so it'd be a hell of a draw for you guys out there that like to put on these shows.
Here's my whole thing. I really do appreciate being inducted into my hometown into the Hall of Fame. And wrestling is something that I love, and I want to contribute back to some kind of way. You know, I mean, but individuals, the last call I had was from Charlotte. And this individual called me and asked me, would I come? And I asked him the question, well, what are you going to pay me? And you know, the next word he said, well, they told me you was going to be hard to deal with. So, hey, you understand what I'm saying? What am I supposed to do? Every people that don't even know nothing about me other than they knew I drew money. So why is the mindset in the same way? I want to help. You know, the greatest thing that would happen is, you know, the NWA would, hey, get back on his feet about something. You know what I mean? Well, I got a lot of ideas and a lot of life left. I'm 82 years old, man. And
how you get around, Bo? I see you got the wheelchair there. You travel okay? Can you get on flights and all that? Do you travel good?
Yeah. I go by myself. I go by myself, and I get them push me up there and I can still walk with my cane and all.
And but you can still walk the walk and talk the talk.
Well, hey, God has been good to me, and I have some good friends. Thank you, Gerald.
Thank you, both.
My new friend.
Yes, sir.
Friend. About you, Jay, but you are running in good company.
Yes, sir.
Hey, Bo, you know, John Layfield and Ron Simmons were one of the most successful tag teams ever in the history of WWE. And a lot of people didn't think it would work. You got an old redneck like Texas redneck like JBL, and you got the great African-American athlete like Ron Simmons. Those two were like you and me. I mean, they got along. They were brothers on the road. They were brothers off the road, and they're still best of friends today, man. What an example, you know, that John has turned into, you know, a real positive influence on everybody. You,
Mr. Bolt, paved the way for me and Ron Simmons to come along as a tag team and have a ton of success because you and Mr. Brisco were first. So thank you.
You're welcome. We done what we could do. And I thank you.
Well, Bolt,
anything, anytime, I'm no further than the phone.
Well, thank you. And the return is the same, sir. So, Bolt, thank you so much for joining us today. I really appreciate it. I've been looking forward to this ever since Mr. Brisco told me we're going to get the Thunderbolt. He calls you Bolt. He goes, we're going to get Bolt. I said, man, that is just awesome. I've been so looking forward to this. And it's one of those things where you look forward to something so much, and when it actually happens, it exceeds all your expectations. Just like this did, and just like you have. So thank you so much for being on our show.
It's an honor. It's an honor.
John, I want to leave everybody today. You know, you know, we come across legends all the time in the business. We come across, and you included as you know, as young as you are in the business, but you run across guys who help you in the business, who influence you in the business, and sometimes the list is very small. My list is very small, but right at the top of the list are my brother, of course, and there's Thunderbolt Patterson. I don't know which one is number one, but Jack and Bolt are my number 1A and 1B, and I'll let you guys figure it out. I love this man to death. Anytime that any promoters out there want Thunderbolt Patterson at your card show, contact me or JBL by way of this show. We'll get the message to Thunderbolt. Thunderbolt's one of the most reliable guys you'll ever run across in the business. If he gives you his word, he's going to show up. He'll be there. He'll be there. And if he needs help, book me along with him, and I'll help Thunderbolt to and from the arena or wherever your venue might be. But let's get Bolt out there so the people can hear his story firsthand and appreciate what this guy has contributed to our business. That's all I got to say on that.
Thank you. Thank you.